Coming up on this Monday edition of Newsline at noon, in a meeting with President Park Geun-hye, Chinese President Xi Jinping promises steps to coax North Korea into giving up nuclear weapons program. Conflicting signals from Tokyo about his plan to handle Japan's wartime sexual slavery issue call into question the sincerity of his intention to mend ties with its neighbors in Northeast Asia. Plus, trading begins on Korea's gold exchange as the government intensifies its fight to make the underground economy more transparent. These stories and more on Newsline at noon. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Newsline at noon. I'm Ojin Chu in Seoul.
It's very good to have you with us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this lunchtime, North Korea should not have nuclear weapons. The leaders of South Korea and China were singing from the same sheet on Sunday as they met in The Hague ahead of this week's Nuclear Security Summit.
Our presidential office correspondent Choi You-sun, who's traveling with the president, filed this report from The Hague.
President Park Geun-hye discussed better cooperation on curbing North Korea's nuclear program with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Sunday. The two leaders met for the fourth time ahead of this year's Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague. President Park stressed Pyongyang cannot achieve economic development while continuing with its nuclear weapons program. To that end, President Xi said China opposes North Korea as a nuclear weapons state and that Beijing is, in its own way, persuading its ally to fulfill its previous international denuclearization pledges. This comes after President Park urged North Korea's traditional allies, China and Russia, in an interview with a Dutch broadcaster to push Pyongyang harder to give up its nuclear arms. The Chinese leader then endorsed President Park's trust-building initiatives on the Korean peninsula and policies for a peaceful reunification. President Park said a unified Korean peninsula would be nuclear-free, symbolic of peace, generating a new growth engine in Northeast Asia. On the trade front, the Korean president said the two sides should try to finalize negotiations for a Korea-China FTA within a year, to which her Chinese counterpart agreed. On Monday, President Park will seek ways to boost bilateral ties with Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. She will then give an opening speech at the Nuclear Security Summit. Choi You-sun, Arirang News, The Hague.
Now, ahead of a trilateral summit among Korea, the U.S. and Japan in The Hague, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said it's important to face history and pass it on to the next generation. But the sincerity of Abe and his administration is once again in question. This after a high-level Japanese official called for a new statement on the comfort women issue. Our Hwang Seung-hee has the details.
Visiting the Anne Frank House Museum in Amsterdam on Sunday, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe stressed the importance of preserving history for the next generation.
We would like to face the historical facts in a humble manner, but also we like to pass on the lessons and the facts of history to the next generation. By doing so, I would like to realize peace in the entire international community.
The Anne Frank House is where the German-born Jewish girl kept a diary of her life in hiding before she died in a Nazi concentration camp. The Japanese government said Abe's visit to one of the best-known memorials to the victims of the Holocaust showed his willingness to acknowledge historical facts. The visit is being seen as a diplomatic move ahead of Abe's trilateral summit with President Park Geun-hye and U.S. President Barack Obama on the sidelines of the Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague. Abe's first official meeting with the South Korean leader comes after he vowed to uphold Japan's landmark apology issued to the victims of its wartime sexual enslavement during the Second World War. But a comment made by one of Abe's close aides is once again raising eyebrows about Japan's sincerity. Koichi Hagiuda said Sunday that Tokyo should consider issuing a new political statement on the so-called comfort women issue if fresh findings emerge while the government verifies how the existing apology was compiled. He stressed the Japanese leader did not deny the possibility of issuing a new statement. Hageuda's comments should not be taken lightly, as he had foreseen Abe's visit to the controversial Yasukuni Shrine last year. South Korea's foreign ministry noted it was inappropriate for a high-level Japanese official to deny the recent pledges made by Abe and urged Tokyo to reaffirm its stance. Hwang Sang-hee, Arirang News.
The United States is increasingly becoming the next battlefield for the political and historical war of words between Korea and Japan, according to the New York Times at least. In an editorial published over the weekend, the paper says Seoul and Tokyo share one common goal, coaxing Washington into pressuring the other country to make concessions on issues ranging from Japan's wartime use of sex slaves to the dual naming of the EC and Sea of Japan. It goes on to say the U.S. government can claim some success getting the leaders of Korea and Japan to agree to hold a trilateral summit talks this week on the sidelines of the Nuclear Security Summit in The Hague. Experts widely expect the campaigning from both sides to intensify ahead of President Barack Obama's visit to both countries next month. While North Korea was busy in recent weeks firing off short-range missiles into the East Sea, South Korean and U.S. Marines were conducting their first-ever large-scale command post exercise near Pohang in the southeast of the peninsula. 500 Koreans and 1,500 American troops took part in the drills, which started on March 15th and ran through Sunday. The simulation exercise, part of annual joint military drills, was aimed at improving the mobility of troops and equipment in the event of an emergency infiltration. During the 9 days of exercises, North Korea test-fired 71 short-range missiles off its east coast.
Stay up to date on the latest news out of Korea, connecting to our team of reporters about the issues that matter to Korea. On air, on your mobile, online. Find out more about Korea on Newsline at noon with Mark Broom and Jin-ju.
I'm Jin-ju.
Market researcher, strategy analytics, said Thursday that LG Electronics brought in about gold. It's the oldest form of currency in the world, but black market transactions of the precious metal are thought to deprive the Korean government of an estimated $278 million in taxes each year. As part of efforts to bring the underground economy to the surface, Korea has opened its first ever gold exchange market. Our Kim Ji-yeon reports.
Korea's first ever gold exchange market opened its trading doors to the public this Monday morning. It offers a place for dealers and private investors to make gold transactions, and it's part of the government's efforts to prevent tax evasion and the illegal trade of the precious metal. Individuals in Korea own an estimated 700 tons of gold, 7 times the amount held by the Bank of Korea. Nearly 70 tons is thought to be traded each year without being taxed. 1 gram units of gold bullion of 99.99 purity are bought and sold in the exchange market. 8 securities firms and 49 futures trading companies have registered and participated in the trading on Monday. The prices of gold traded in the exchange will be adjusted in real time. Gold opened trading on Monday morning with 1 gram being worth 47,000 Korean won, roughly $43.45. Investors can withdraw gold from the exchange in units of kilograms. The Korea Exchange says transaction fees will be waived until March of next year to help the exchange platform take root.
It is expected to offer a stable and efficient trading environment for dealers and potential investors and boost the liquidity of gold within the next 2 years.
The market will be open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. weekdays. Gold can be withdrawn from 4 other Korea Exchange offices outside the capital city of Seoul. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Now, more and more retail investors are turning to their mobile smart devices to buy and sell stocks. The Korea Exchange said Monday that mobile stock transactions made up some 9.5% of all transactions on the nation's main bourse this year. That's in sharp contrast with the less than 1.5% tallied just 5 years ago. The number of individuals trading stocks online is on the slide, accounting for around 28% of the total trading this year. That is down from nearly 50% tallied in 2009. In the wake of massive data leaks in recent months, insurance companies here in Korea are coming up with ways to better compensate customers who have had their personal information compromised. Starting this week, it will be easier for some affected individuals to receive damages for their losses. Kwon So-hwa has the details.
Victims of financial fraud caused by hacking or phishing scams will be better compensated in the near future. 5 major insurance companies announced this Monday that they will introduce reforms to compensation measures so that their customers can receive compensation for damages more easily and more quickly. Hyundai Marine and Fire Insurance, Samsung Fire and Marine Insurance, and Dongbu Insurance will be some of the first to come out with the new insurance products this week. After assessing the move, smaller firms are expected to join in as well. Up until now, individuals have only been eligible to receive compensation when financial firms were found to be responsible for fraud or a leak. The change means they will be able to receive damages for losses even when it's not clear who is behind the breach of privacy. It comes as concerns are growing about personal data protection. Millions of Koreans have been affected by data leaks in recent months. Customers of KB Kookmin Card, NH Nongyap Card, and Lotte Card had personal information leaked, as did those who do business with Standard Chartered Bank Korea and Citibank Korea. As such, financial authorities plan to make those companies subscribe to the new insurance before others. Kwon So-hwa, Arirang News.
The Korean government has decided to overhaul regulations in 5 promising service sectors, as well as regulations that are controlled by more than one ministry as part of its efforts to boost corporate investment and create more jobs. Kim Min-ji reports.
This is Yeosu Industrial Complex, the driving force of Korea's petrochemical industry. Completed in 1979, the complex has continuously undergone expansion, but the factory side is still far from enough. The government planned to remove a ban on development of a greenbelt area inside the complex last year, but this was put off as it would have required the payment of over $55 million in development charges. This is a result of a regulation that is under the control of more than one government ministry. When it comes to industrial location, the Land Ministry, Trade Ministry, and Environment Ministry all have a role, such as operations or environment management. In response to this issue, the government has decided to overhaul such regulations, which experts point out hamper new business projects that could revitalize the economy.
As for issues that require cooperation between a number of ministries, we will allocate their roles and set a deadline.
The government will also revamp regulations related to labor and environment, as well as regulations on 5 promising service sectors, such as health, education, and tourism, in order to spur corporate investment and create more jobs. An official from the Ministry of Strategy and Finance said they have set their first task to ease regulations in such sectors and get rid of regulations controlled by more than one ministry. Financial authorities are also taking follow-up measures to ease regulations. It will review the adoption of Britain's control system that automatically eliminates existing regulations when new ones are introduced to ensure there's no extra cost to the public and businesses. As of last year, some 11,000 out of over 15,000 registered regulations were related to the economy. The government has pledged to cut the volume of registered regulations to 80% of the current level by 2016. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics has found itself nestled at the top of tablet PC evaluations by a U.S.-based consumer magazine beating out its U.S. rival Apple. Consumer Reports said Monday that Samsung's new tablet PC models, the Galaxy Tab Pro 10.1 and Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4, got the best ratings. The scores are based on a device's various features like portability and resolution. The Galaxy Tab Pro 10.1 received a combined score of 90, the first time the U.S. magazine has dished out an evaluation in the 90 range. Apple's iPad Air, that falls in the same category with Galaxy Tab Pro 10.1, ranked 4th with 85.
The Korean wave is alive and kicking in China. A K-pop concert co-hosted by Arirang TV in Shanghai over the weekend featured some of the industry's hottest acts and drew thousands of fans, in fact, from all over China. Yulian reports the concert is just the first of many to come.
Despite having to wait hours in line just to get into the venue, these K-pop fans couldn't be any more excited to see their favorite act at the Simply K-pop Tour 2014 in Shanghai, China.
I prepared flowers for G-Dragon to cheer him up for the concert. I've been his fan for 6 years, and I hope he will visit China more often.
Some diehard fans didn't even give a second thought to traveling over 10 hours by car for a chance to see their favorite K-pop acts in person.
I drove all the way from Shandong. I've been waiting for 2 months for this concert.
I'm a big fan of Crayon Pop, so I decided to wear this helmet to the concert.
The concert was organized by Arirang TV, Korea's only global television network, and Chinese satellite broadcaster Dragon TV, which reaches 1 billion viewers in China. A total of 12 artists, including Big Bang's G-Dragon and Taeyang, are all here at the Mercedes-Benz Arena for the spectacular 3-hour concert. The fans that filled the 18,000-seat stadium provide a glimpse at the K-pop craze that's been rapidly expanding in China in recent years. And this concert is the first of many more to come. Along with Arirang TV and Dragon TV, the concert was hosted by entertainment management agencies Intercrew based in Korea and JY Entertainment in China. The 4 groups signed a memorandum of understanding ahead of the concert, agreeing to promote more cultural exchanges between China and Korea. That includes more concerts and even television programs.
I'm excited to work with Korea's Arirang TV, and I hope to deepen our relationship through more projects together in the future.
The concert will be broadcast on Arirang TV to over 100 million households around the world on April 11th and 18th. Yurian, Arirang News, Shanghai.
Now, younger Chinese consumers aren't just buying tickets for K-pop concerts. They're, in fact, buying lots of products they see in Korean dramas and movies. Not wanting to miss an opportunity, the world's leading luxury brands are latching on to the trend to boost their sales. Our Paulie reports.
This report, posted on the Wall Street Journal's website, reads, "Luxury brands look to South Korea for China's sales boost." It focuses on how the world's leading luxury brands are using Korean dramas and K-pop videos to reach Chinese customers. The Wall Street Journal found that Korean dramas influence a considerable amount of Chinese consumers, and that brands like Chanel, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton are using product placement in Korean TV dramas and music videos to broaden their appeal, especially to young shoppers. Take the drama My Love from the Star as an example. The dresses and shoes worn by Korean actress Chun Ji-hyun in the program are all the rage in China. The report also says that a backpack worn by actor Kim Soo-hyun in one episode helped boost sales of the brand's entire line by 3-fold in February compared to the same month last year. Despite some of the challenges overseas brands face in the Korean market, the report says these high-end companies choose to stay because of the nation's influence not just in China, but throughout the rest of Asia as well. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
For a look at some of the international news headlines we're covering at this hour, we're going to connect to our very own Eunice Kim, standing by at the news center.
Eunice, we're now in week 3 of the search for missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, and new satellite data is leading to a wider search area in the Indian Ocean.
Hi guys, that's right. Search teams handling the southern corridor, that's the seas west of Australia, have widened their target region in the southern Indian Ocean to include waters in which French authorities say they found, quote, potential floating debris. The region in question is reported to be some 850 kilometers north of the current search area that is consistent with radar echoes that had been spotted by Australian and Chinese satellite data earlier. Now, Reuters is reporting a team of 10 planes, including those from China and Japan, will join the Australia-led search effort over the 68,000 square kilometer oceanic zone. Teams will work in temperate weather conditions today to also watch for a wooden pallet that was spotted on Saturday by air crews, which may or may not be from the missing jetliner. And moving on to some other news, keeping an eye on developments in Ukraine, one of NATO's top commanders is warning of Russian forces gathering on the border with eastern Ukraine, and he says they may be poised to invade. NATO's Supreme Allied Commander in Europe, General Philip Breedlove, says the massive Russian military force is, quote, very, very sizable and very, very ready, and could even pose a threat to Moldova on the other side of the country. Ukraine's foreign minister has also warned that the threat of war with Moscow is escalating. However, Russia says it has complied with international agreements that limit the number of troops in the border regions. Meanwhile, international monitors from the European Security Organization are set to arrive in Ukraine soon, but they will not go into Crimea. Turkey has shot down a Syrian plane on Sunday. Turkey's armed forces says it detected 2 Syrian fighter jets closing in on its border and issued 4 warnings before its F-16 fired a rocket that took down one of those Syrian jets. Turkish Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan issued a strongly worded warning saying that a violation of his airspace will be followed by a hard slap. Syria called the act, quote, blatant aggression, and explained the MiG-23s were pursuing rebel fighters inside Syria and had remained on the Syrian side of the Kazab border crossing. The pilot reportedly got away by ejecting out of the plane before it crashed. And a huge landslide over the weekend in Washington State, USA, has killed at least 4 and left some 18 still missing. Authorities say the mud flow that leveled at least half a dozen homes along a state highway was possibly triggered by unsteady ground soaked with heavy rainfall over the past month. Rescuers conducted operations carefully as the area was still assessed to be unstable. State troopers are also watching the Stiaguamish River, which has been blocked by the landslide. The county has strongly recommended voluntary evacuations in that area north of the river.
Good afternoon, I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Now, the chilly start to the morning is turning into a mild afternoon with temperatures hiking into upper teens across the region and low 20s some areas down south. And right now it's looking quite clear outside, but more clouds will be rolling into the nation as we go through the day. So the afternoon hours shouldn't be as sunny as this morning. And there is a high possibility that the southern region will have a cloudy afternoon with a chance of passing showers, and they might receive light rainfall tomorrow as well. But temperature-wise, as we can see, it's on the rise. Highs will be reaching the 20s by the end of the week here in the capital, and it will be even warmer down south. So it's obvious that spring is in the air. So let's go out and enjoy this nice weather condition. But please do notice the big temperature gap between day and night and dress accordingly to avoid getting sick. Do keep that in mind, and let's take a closer look at the readings for today. The afternoon high in Seoul will rise to 16. Daegu and Gwangju will top out at 22 and 19 respectively, while Busan should get up to 18 in the afternoon. Now let's see how other regions are looking. It looks like down on Jeju and Daejeon will climb up to 18. Dokdo hikes up to 16, while the top temperature on Mount Kumgang will be at 12. Well, that's all for me today, and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Well, thank you to Jion for the weather, as always, and those are the stories we're following at this hour.
Mark and I will be back at the same time tomorrow. Thank you for watching. you.